What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. She's coming straight from the Berg. She is none other than Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend? How was your week?
It's been pretty good. Can't complain. Other than the weather, it is very hot right now. I don't know
Mm,
about you over there, but it is like getting close to like 90s here.
yes, it's getting very spicy.
Yeah, everything hurts and I'm dying when it comes to
Mm,
heat. I don't do so great in the heat, so I am staying inside with the air conditioning, and it is other than that though, it hasn't been too bad.
I do not blame you. Yeah, this heat is something brutal. We're supposed to get more heat in the coming days, actually. So be prepared
Yeah.
for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to suffer.
Yeah, that and we're getting thunderstorms over the next few days, so it's gonna be just a muggy as hell. But that's I guess what hats are for and again air conditioning, but yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting few days of weather over here.
Interesting. Yes, definitely for sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. Now, normally our episodes are about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. We cover everything from WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, whatever it has to do with wrestling. Usually our listeners ask us questions about the hottest topics in the wrestling world and we answer them with our opinions. But we're doing something a little bit different this episode. This is going to be our third installment of our Ask Us Anything episode, the episode where you get to learn who we are, the people behind the microphones, as Shay likes to say. So
Yeah.
you get to know us and what we like, what we dislike, and stuff like that. We have a plethora of questions coming in from our loyal listeners. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous to get through this, but this should be fun.
What, do you think we're gonna get a little too real on the on the podcast? But
Yeah, might get too real. That's exactly what I'm worried about.
well, that's the best way to get people to know us better, I suppose, is to get a little deep. But I don't think it'll be too bad. I think we'll be able to handle it.
All right, so let's get right into it. What are the first set of questions for us?
All right, so we're gonna start off with Mike's questions, and he promised it was gonna be weird. So we're gonna see if these questions live up to it. But
Oh
we're gonna start
boy.
off. This one I don't think's too terribly weird. It's just what is our favorite school field trip that we can remember?
Oh, our favorite school field trip. That's a good one. In junior and senior year, we took trips to Washington D.C. and one of my favorite things to do. I like going to museums. I think
Mhm.
museums are cool. So, Washington D.C. has great museums, especially on the National Strip. National Mall has great museums. So yeah, that would definitely be one. Obviously, like when you're younger, you get the school trips to the zoo. We
Yeah.
always used to go to like the Philadelphia Zoo and the Camden Aquarium and stuff like that. But for me, like I said, I'm a big fan of museums. So going to Washington, D.C. and seeing all the monuments and all the historical things out there, that was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun for me. What about you?
That honestly sounds like a lot of fun. I've always been interested in seeing those museums up there, so I may have to take a trip down there one of these days.
it,
But
it's it's definitely worth it to spend the day just checking out the museums and checking out the sites. It's been a while because like I said, that was junior and senior year. I went back to back to go on that field trip, so it's been a while. I definitely don't know what it's like nowadays with everything
yeah.
so kind of crazy, in the world this day,
Eh,
but I'm definitely interested in checking out the museums. There's definitely more museums that have popped up that I didn't get to see the last time that I would love to go back and see.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely probably wait a few years until we would go down there. But yeah, that I think's kind of an unknown fact about if you don't know me well enough, is I do actually like museums. We have plenty of them around here, and kind of will tie into a question later on about museums and whatnot. But when it came to my favorite field trip, it was senior year. And like you said, we kind of did the same. Like, oh, we go to the zoo or the amusement park in Pittsburgh, because of course we were only an hour and a half away from where I grew up. So we would come down here a lot. We've done Penguins games, Pirates games, you name it. But surprisingly, my favorite trip that I can remember, it was a senior year, and we went to one of the local like I don't even remember what they called it though. It was like a recreational park where
Mm.
you could do like canoeing and all the outdoorsy stuff, which I find rather hilarious now because I'm not a very outdoorsy person, but
Ah.
not at all. Which is like I just never really been my thing, but I just remember we had a lot of fun that time because I remember my friend group at the time we we all went canoeing and my one friend and I were in the canoe and I don't think either of us had actually ever like operated and driven a canoe before or paddled, so it was a very interesting experience for the people watching us because we ended up going backwards at one point and then we hit the side of the kind of the embankment, but thankfully we never fell in. We just we started off backwards and then hit the embankment and it kind of like knocked us forwards. So then after that we kind of got the hang of it. But yeah, that was a pretty fun one. Yeah, it was just kind of like the picnics in the forest and some of us went to like the mini golf place up this road. Yeah, it was a good time. It's a lot more fun when you're younger because you have more time to do those kind of things and especially when you're in school, it's nice to kind of just get away and not have to
Right.
worry about anything that has to do with academics, but yeah, it's still funny to me that I'm like, yeah, I was never even back then I was never really like an outdoorsy kind of person, but I just remember that one being pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm not an outdoorsy person as well. I'm
Nah.
like yeah, it's just not for me. I went camping once and I hated it. I hated it. It
Yeah.
was it was just
Yeah, I
not for
can't.
me.
Nah, I'm not much of a bug person or like
Yeah.
wildlife kind of person, so that would freak me out just a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that there would be a very different. There have to be a very specific set of conditions that I would go camping willingly. But no, it was a good time.
No. All right.
All right, if we could visit any of the seven wonders of the world, what would it be and why?
Hmm. I'll let you answer that one first. Any of the seven wonders of the world.
That one, anyone that knows me really knows this isn't like a very hard answer for me, but the Colosseum in
Mm.
Rome.
Yeah.
I've always been very fascinated by the Roman and Greek mythology, anything, or just history when it comes to that kind of stuff. And obviously, playing video games when you play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you kind of get to see that kind of stuff in its recreated glory. But I think it would be really cool to go to the actual thing that is just like obviously just a massive standing piece of history that has held so many stories in it and again it would just be a very cool thing to experience I think just because I'm a nerd for that kind of history I suppose.
That does sound cool. I would actually want to check out the Taj Mahal. I think I was
Yes.
always fascinated by the story of the Taj Mahal built as a monument of love, and
Mhm.
everything and the story behind it and I always thought it was a fascinating building just the way it looked from the outside and seeing pictures of it. So I would actually go with the Taj Mahal, but the Colosseum would definitely probably be my next one after that for the same reasons.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, it's just I think it's also because we're kind of sports fans too, so I guess that kind of ties
Mm,
into it
yeah,
vaguely, but yeah, I just always thought the Roman history and that kind of era of the world was very fascinating to me. But yours is also another good one too. That'd be really cool to see up
yeah.
close. All right, two-parter on this one. So our favorite movie and our favorite actor or actress.
Oh, oh, okay. My favorite movie is probably one of the most quotable movies you could think of. Super bad. I
Nice. Nice.
I love I don't know what it is about that movie. I could sit and watch that movie and not get bored, and I know every single word to that movie. It's just so weird. But yeah, Superbad is definitely my favorite movie. That and The Boondock Saints, which is
Mm,
a movie I saw in my early teenage years that kind of fascinated me. I love the uh religious imagery behind it, and I even have a quote from the movie tattooed on my chest.
Nice.
in one of the fictitious prayers that they used in the movie. It says, "O Lord, raise me to thy right hand and count me among thy saints." And I have that on my chest, and I always thought that that was a really cool movie. But yeah, that and Superbad, I could sit and watch Superbad all day long and not get bored. As far as a favorite actor, I would say my favorite actor of all time is Denzel Washington.
Nice.
I
Nice.
yeah, I've never seen a bad Denzel Washington movie. Never.
Yeah.
His catalog of movies is just ridiculous. The amount of hits. I can't think of a bad Denzel Washington movie. Just the amount of movies that he's been in. He's just been fascinating, and he's always been one of those where I watch a movie and I'm like, damn, that's such a great movie. He's such a great actor. So yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
go with Denzel on that one.
That's a good pick too. You're right, honestly. I can't really think of like a bad movie he's been in, so I would definitely agree with you on that one. So so the favorite movie is very funny to me because I think anybody would expect me to say one of the Star Wars movies because
Right.
obviously Star Wars. Believe it or not, actually not the case. My favorite movie of all time is actually The Dark Knight.
Really? Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That would have been my second guess.
I love that movie. It's it's so funny because I always say that even if you're not a fan of Batman, I feel like somebody, if you like action,
Right,
dramas, whatever, you would find enjoyment in it. Except I always have to preface it by this is not a one-time like watch at all. You have to watch it multiple times to get everything. And even then, even nowadays, I've seen it so many times, like too many times to count, and you still find all these little like Easter eggs and everything. So I feel like it's a great action drama movie, and then it's also a great like Batman movie.
right.
And I don't think very many Batman movies can come close to it. I just remember it wasn't even really on my radar. I remember when it came out, I just think my mom and her one friend went to see it, and she's not even really much of a comic person either. She just really enjoyed it, and she's like, "Well, you're into Batman and all that stuff, so I think you would like it." And I watched it, and she gave me the same advice I give other people: is you have to. It's too much to like try and understand all at once. It's a multi-viewing kind of experience, but I think it's just so cool how they just weaved these stories in with each other and all these little details that if you blink you miss it, and then you go back and you're like, oh, I remember that part, and oh shit, that actually like connects with this part and whatever, and just all the acting, and it's just fantastic. Like it is just probably a near perfect movie for me, I would think. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know I will never, if I see that on TV or if I have an opportunity to watch it, I will never pass up the opportunity to see it. And it's just definitely my favorite movie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Heath Ledger's performance in that movie is just
Legendary.
it's legendary the way he immersed himself into the character and kind of made the character his own. Like it was
Yeah.
such a legendary portrayal of the character that you could put it up with Jack Nicholson's Joker and everything else, and
Yeah.
it would still hold up. It was just a great interpretation of the character, and a way that he kind of immersed himself into it and made it his own was just a legendary performance. Dark
Yeah.
Knight is a fantastic movie, and it to me it was like you said, it's a Batman movie, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a different take on Batman. More of an
Yeah.
artistic take on Batman, and the art of filmmaking was put into Christopher Nolan's work when he did the trilogy, and I think that was probably some of his best work. But I think his interpretation of what Batman is just the perfect interpretation in terms of a movie. Like you said, it's action, but it's also serious storytelling that you would have to really kind of sink your teeth into. Yeah, it probably would take multiple viewings of the movies to kind of understand where they're going.
Yeah, I completely agree. I appreciate the fact that Batman as a superhero, as we know, is not very there's no like, oh, he got bit by a radioactive spider or
Right.
something like whatever. It's like something tragic happened to him, and he's probably one of the more like realistic in a way kind of supervillains, and as pretty much just like with his origin story. So I appreciate that Christopher Nolan took that and made it just dark and gritty and edgy, because that's the kind of like style I always saw Batman in,
Right.
and just to see it in a movie like that was, like I said, it just makes you feel things. And Heath Ledger's performance is just, you just feel uncomfortable. It's that weird, like that weird mix of, you feel very uncomfortable but you also can't look away either, because it's just so gripping and like entrancing. And it's just, it, like I said, near perfect movie for me.
I agree. I definitely agree.
And actor and actress, I would say probably for like the nostalgic sake, I'd probably say Anne Hathaway, because obviously growing up, I was always into the Princess Diaries, because I was kind of like my era of growing up, even though it definitely doesn't like speak for who I am now. But just growing up, it was definitely some of my favorite movies, and I honestly should probably go back and watch it just to see how I would look at it now. But yeah, I think those movies had such like, they were always just like a prominent part of my life growing up. And then of course to have her in um Dark Knight Rises as Catwoman, I was just like, oh, this is kind of just like full circle for me, even though most people didn't really like her portrayal that much. I honestly didn't really mind it.
I thought it was good. I thought it was good.
I thought so too, but people have to again complain about everything. But
The,
I think it was just you just kind of felt bad for Nolan, because you have such, again, a near perfect movie as The Dark Knight. It's this like, you couldn't have lightning strike twice in a row. Like it was The Dark Knight Rises was always going to be not as good as Dark Knight, just for the fact of, you couldn't have gotten any better than Dark Knight for the most part. But yeah, Anne Hathaway was always just like, again, I've always just enjoyed everything she was in that I would see. And yeah, definitely I liked her as Catwoman. I don't care what anybody else says. I mean, it wasn't Halle Berry's Catwoman, so you guys can't complain too much. But
that is
what do I
true.
know?
That is
Yeah,
true.
that, never seen it, and I think I'm glad. I think I'm better off for it. But clearly, I am not missing out. All right. So, how many times have we moved, and what was the favorite place we've lived in?
Oh wow. Wow. How many times have I moved?
Do we
Hmm,
count like moving back home too? I feel like that kind of counts as moving, I suppose.
I'm counting here. Uh,
You gotta think. Yeah, you gotta think about it on air. Trust me,
yeah.
it's
So I think I guess, well, I mean, yeah, do we count moving, what do we mean, moving out of like moving different cities, or do we mean how many
um.
times how many times have we moved completely? Cuz that would be different.
hmm. I know, because then do you count like if you go to college, because that's technically
Right.
moving, and like moving back. So I feel
Right.
like, I mean, guess we could just count it all, I suppose. Because if
Jeez, if we count it all, as a kid, we bounced around a lot.
yeah,
Yeah, we bounced around a lot. We, especially where we moved back here in South Jersey, we
mm,
kind of bounced around within South Jersey, and uh apartment to apartment, so it was like 3 or 4 times just that alone. Um,
yeah.
I used to live, in South Carolina, which is
Oh
always
wow.
yeah, which is always fun, especially like, when, WWE recently went back to South Carolina, and, Trick Williams is from Columbia, which is the city that I used to live in, and
Mhm.
he talked about the streets in Colombia, and it was just blowing my mind, because it's like I used to live on the streets that he was talking about, so that was always cool. But favorite place is always gonna be New York to me. New York is always gonna
Yeah.
be the place that I love the most, the place where I feel the most comfortable.
Mhm.
Um, it's just a weird thing. I always say I can get the best sleep in New York City with all the sirens and all the noises and
Yeah.
everything going on. I get the best sleep here, where I'm at in South Jersey. It's very quiet, very
Yeah.
rural. Everything kind of closes down at like 6 p.m. So it gets very dark very quickly, and it's
Yeah.
just quiet. It's very quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. I growing up in Punxsutawney, I definitely get that. I'm trying to think, because I had my childhood home, which I pretty much lived in up until, okay, and then I moved out for college. But then, see, and that's tough because then it's just like, oh, I would just come back and during the summer. So I guess that doesn't really like, does it count? I don't really know. I guess in a way it does because you kind of have to like up and move for
Right.
at least a couple months at a time. So yeah, I had my childhood home and then I graduated high school and moved out to college and then would come back every summer. And then when I graduated college, I moved back home because trying to find a job was a nightmare.
Mm,
Um, when I did my internship for college, I moved to a town called Johnstown because they had like a hockey team there that I interned for. So I was there for a little bit, came back home, moved up here or up to Pittsburgh for the first time when I worked for the Pirates in the retail store. So I moved in with my best friend's family. And then they ended up moving, so then I moved into town, and it's always funny to say this. I had like a sweet life of Zach and Cody moment because I lived in a hotel for like 3 months, give or take.
nice.
Um, yeah, it was fun. You kind of get a little spoiled when you come home and everything's clean already, and you don't have to do anything except just relax. But unfortunately, we don't do that now. But then that job ended, so I came back home and then I moved up here and stayed in the same hotel for about a month and then I moved into my apartment that I'm in now. So I've been kind of all over the place as well, but I definitely would agree with you when you said about the you get your best night's sleep in New York. Like this is my favorite place I've lived in and it's not even close because I've always considered Pittsburgh my second home before I moved up here. So now that I'm actually here, it's like, yeah, this feels right. This is where I should have been all along. And yeah, I don't mind hearing the sirens and like the car horns and everything. It's just I appreciate the noise because the quiet just kind of drives me nuts. So if I were to go back home, it would just not be good. But
Yeah, but I mean, you've been home back home so many times. It just shows that you can always go back home. You know, especially with your parents and your mother. I'm sure that that's always the opportunity if they ever came about.
well, it's funny because you would think that would be the case, but and it's always very interesting when I describe this. It's like I did not have the best home life and it had nothing to do with my parents. My parents are great. It was just other family members that we had to live with just made it a very shitty place to live for the longest time. So I he always said I would never go back to that town unless I was like forced to. You know, it's bad when I've probably mentioned it plenty of times on the show. It's like every weekend my mom comes down here because she'd rather be here than in Punxsy.
Right.
And my dad will come down occasionally because he's retired. So obviously he has the time to come down here, but he's more of a country person and mom and I are more city people. So it's like we'd rather just not be there as much as possible. So this is kind of like we always joke mom's vacation home. She'll come down here every Thursday and she'll be here until Sunday night. Sometimes she'll come in late Monday and stay over into Monday, but yeah, if there's I'd rather not go back to that town unless I absolutely had to. Trust me, and it is not my environment to say
Yeah,
the least.
I hear you. I feel the same way about the town that I live in now. But now that I'm at the age that I'm at now, and I've been here for so long, and I've been kind of on my own for so
Yeah.
long, it's like I kind of have gotten to that place where if I move out of town or even out of state, like I would love to move to somewhere like Florida where the weather is nicer and it's a little bit more tropical and there's a lot more things going on, but then I wouldn't know anyone out there, you know?
Yeah.
I'd be kind of all alone. So that's a little bit like one time I had someone tell me, it doesn't really matter where you live. Every place is kind of when you get settled in, you're always going to find that moment where you're kind of bored, so
Yeah.
that kind of always stuck with me because I always figured if I was to leave the town that I'm in, I'm always going to find something better somewhere else, but that may not be the case. And who wants to get up and uproot their life and move only to
Mm-mm.
be in a similar situation where they're like, oh, I'm still stuck in my same old ways, just in a different environment, so it's just like
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough, especially when you get older. But I'm glad that you found a place that you really enjoy and that you feel the most comfortable in, especially like a place like Pittsburgh seems like an awesome place to hang out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased, but it's definitely fun. You'll have to come up sometime. You'll have to come visit and I'll show you around and show you the sights. But yeah, I just don't think I was ever really built for small town USA kind of environment for a variety of reasons that I'm sure we'll get into later. But yeah, it's just I've always been attracted to the city and everything it had to offer. And yeah, I definitely could not see myself going anywhere else. And I think you said, especially when you get older, just moving, just the thought of moving, is just ugh, I don't like it. I
Yeah.
just sometimes, like you said, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You might think, oh, maybe a change of scenery will help me, and then you get somewhere and you're like, oh, actually didn't really change at all. But
Yeah.
thankfully for me, it did. So I will take that blessing that I can get, and yeah, definitely the best decision I ever made.
Nice. Awesome.
All right, so oh God, would we or have we ever been on a hot air balloon ride?
Nope. You can't. You can't.
Nice.
You can't get me on one. I do not trust it. I think it's unnatural, and to be that high up and something can go wrong. I've seen where like birds have flown into the engine
Mhm.
things and they explode. Nah, no, thank you. I like the ground. I like it where it's safe. I like gravity. I'm cool.
Yeah, in on paper it sounds really nice, and then you see the views and everything, and you're like, oh, this is really great. But yeah, in practice, I don't know if I would be too thrilled about it, to be completely honest, because
Mm,
like you said, there's so much that could go wrong very
yeah.
easily. And every time you see those like clips online or on TV shows of like the engine fails and you're just all of a sudden can you just start falling out of the air, or
Nope.
it catches on fire, and I'm like, I'm good. I'll If I want to look at heights and stuff, I'll go in like a building. Maybe not so much a free moving balloon, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'll do skyscrapers, no
yeah.
problem. I'll do roller coasters, no problem. Yeah, but
Yeah.
something about like extended period of heights and like
Uh,
and people
mm-mm.
who jump out of planes, what's up with that? Like, come on now.
No,
No,
no, no, no,
you will
no,
never.
thank you.
Nope. Nope.
Nope. That's a See, and I don't even mind heights that much. Like, they don't bother me like as much, but when the only thing standing between you and falling however far from the sky is a basket, no, thank you. I'd rather
Yeah,
be a little more secure.
and I don't like my chances. I got bad luck. I got bad luck. Something
You'd
might
be
go
the one.
wrong. Yeah, I
You'd be
would
the
be the one that would end up on Action 6 News. Like, look at this
odd.
accident that happened at this hot air balloon place. It rarely ever happens, but tonight it definitely did. No,
Uh,
thank you. No, thank
mm,
you.
no, I'm glad we're in agreement on that one. That is definitely not something that interests us in the slightest.
Nope.
Ugh. Okay, something a little bit better than that, because that's just just freaking me out a little bit. Who is our oldest friend, and how long have we been friends?
Ooh, our oldest friend.
I
I
mean,
would.
mine's pretty easy.
Yeah, let go. I want to hear yours first.
All right, so that would be my childhood best friend Auden. We met, God, when I was in second grade and they were in first grade. So it has
Wow.
been over 20 years that we have known each other. And we always say it, but it really is true. It's just when you're friends with someone for that long, you just end up seeing every version of each other as you grow up and grow into different people and try new things and go through heartbreaks and triumphs and the highs and lows and everything. And they're definitely the one person that knows me better than I know myself outside of my parents, because I feel like that's obviously kind of a given. But yeah, Auden and I, like I said, we just go way back. We've played softball together. We've done Well, and I think our earliest memories we always remember is doing like lightsaber fights in our basements,
Nice.
just because, and they were the one that ended up getting me into Star Wars back in the day. So yeah, There's this, I don't remember the exact specific number, but it's definitely over 20 years at this point. But yeah, I'm definitely lucky to still consider them my best friend to this day, and I could tell them anything and everything, and they would not judge me, and they would vice versa. And yeah, it's just that's the closest thing to unconditional love outside of my family that I have is being friends with Auden, because I know that they will always have my back no matter what.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's always good when you have somebody like that in your life. Something that we should always strive to, develop in our own lives is having bonds with people like that.
Exactly. I'm definitely lucky to at least have one because they don't come around very often.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard, especially these days. I would hate to be a kid these days,
Yeah.
trying to grow up with all these distractions and all these things that are telling you this is how you should live your life,
Yeah.
and everything like that. To be a kid these days, I feel like I got so lucky being, coming in late 80s, growing up in the 90s before the internet, before social media, and then
Yeah.
always and seeing that too. It's kind of cliche to be like, "Oh, I wish I could go back in time when there was no internet and social media," but it was a different time. So like to these days, I wonder how it is these days with kids growing up. Can they develop those same relationships like you've had that have gone like 20 plus years, or is that a thing of the past?
I really hope not, because if they can, that's just unfortunate. That's really unfortunate because again, it's always that cliche of the real friends you have, you can only count on one hand.
Right.
And if you fill up at one hand, you're lucky. And I would say that is very true. I do have a couple friends outside of Auden that I would trust with my life, but them especially, it's just again, they've seen every version of myself over these last 20 something years, and I've seen every version of them and never judged them, never like wavered from them, and they never did the same with me because they've seen me at my worst for sure, and I've seen them at their worst, and that's just the whole point of friendship is you got to be there for them no matter what. And yeah, it's just I don't know how people these days do it. I'd rather not find out because it's just everything's just so. I think even too, if you think about like relationships and whatnot, even
Yeah.
outside of like friendships, like romantic relationships, it's like trying to date nowadays sucks. It
Oh
just
yeah.
sucks shit because everyone has such short attention spans, and it's like if you don't like keep their interest within 3 messages, it's like you're just gone. And it's just like I don't know how you expect people to like create relationships and like even give something a try if you're not even willing to get to know somebody. It's
Yeah.
just yeah, it's not fun, but at least like you said, growing up in like the years we grew up in, it's nice to still have those kind of friends that have stuck around through it all.
Nice, nice. I definitely agree. For me, and I know Mike has a question about this later. My oldest friend would probably be my friend Alexandra.
Hmm.
We've been friends. To me, it's a long time. We've been friends since about like 2010, and
Wow.
we met through social media, and we met through this was back when like Twitter wasn't a cesspool, and like
Yeah.
if you had something that you were into, whether it was a sports team in my particular situation, or if you were into movies, or if you were into a certain type of music, you can find like your community within like Twitter. And for me it was with the Yankees, and that's how we met through what was called Yankees Twitter back then.
Mhm.
And I know Mike has a question about to go deeper, so I won't go too deep into how we met, but she's definitely been my oldest friend. We talk every day. It's one of those things where you realize who your friends are because they constantly check on you. They constantly
Yeah.
want you to make sure that you're doing okay and things like that. And those are the kind of friendships that I value. Someone that really puts in effort to say, a friendship means something to me. Cause like I said,
Yeah.
in this day and age, like the word friendship can be thrown around so nonchalantly, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
I
everybody's
completely
your
agree.
friend. Everybody's your friend. So it's nice to have somebody in your corner that you know you can go to, and like you said, that won't be judged at. And she's definitely the type that she likes to give me a kick in the ass. You know,
Mm,
every so often I need a kick in the ass to get me motivated, or else
yeah,
I'll just fall into like my own habit. And she kind of always kind of not like in a motherly sense, but just kind of in a
yeah.
tough love sense, get it
Hold you
together.
accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciate her for that.
Yeah, that's really nice. I think another good aspect of a like worthwhile friendship too is the fact that we all get busy, life gets in the way, obviously, with jobs and other things going on. And I always appreciated my with Auden that we don't talk every day. Like we'll send each other like memes on Instagram or something, but it's just like every few days or so we'll talk for a little bit or whatnot because again we have jobs, we're busy, they have a relationships and whatnot, so obviously can't talk to each other all the time, but it's still one of those where even if we don't talk all the time, it's just that unwritten like word of we're still good. If we had a problem we would let the other know, and when we get together and talk it's just like nothing ever, no time's passed at
Right.
all. So I think those relationships to me are very valuable because it is tough to keep up with people a lot,
Yeah.
especially as an adult because you just have so much shit going on. So
Right.
it's just nice to have those friendships that don't hold that against you, where it's just
Yeah.
like you don't even have to apologize for being like busy because it's just like you just know. Like I know I'm super busy with stuff I got going on. They know I'm busy with stuff I got going on, but we don't let that like take away from our friendship. And when we hang out, it's just like old times.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, people have lives and things like that. And that's why, again, that's why I value the word friendship with people. It's just not something that I nonchalantly throw around
Oh
when
yeah.
it comes to people. Friendship means something to me. There carries a certain responsibility, but the ones that are always the best understand that you have your own life, you have your own things going on, and
Mhm.
you know, you just kind of find time for the people that are worth it, you know?
Exactly, you have to make time because you never wanna be, "Oh, well, I'll just get him next time, I'll just get him next time," because it's like, you hate to say it, but sometimes in some cases for people, never is a next time. Something
Yeah.
happens or
Yeah.
whatever, so you gotta take the quality time with your friends so you can get it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's the crazy thing about life, is that like you really don't know what's going to happen. It's one of those things where uh time is something that we can never get back. You know,
No.
I always say that, you know, time is something we can never get back. So it's always important to just kind of be present and be in the moment, and when you're with your friends just try to be there with your friends and try to be as present as possible, because you never know what's going to happen. Especially like I just found out today through Alexandra, somebody that I met through Yankees Twitter, that was a friend of mine that I kind of lost touch, passed
Mhm.
away last week.
Yeah. Ugh,
You know?
that's
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's just you get to that, you get to that stage in life where like it's not a common occurrence, but it's just like you're starting to lose friends and things and people that have impacted your life, you know, and it's just like Christ, like, you know, I'm a person that's like, you know, I talk to my therapist about this a lot. Therapy is cool. I think everybody should
Yeah,
go
completely agree.
seek therapy, but I talk to my therapist about it a lot. It's like I'm always worried about like what my life is going to be like if you know, suddenly something was to happen to me. And I know it sounds morbid, but I feel like we
Mhm.
all have that point in life where we think about our legacies and what type of life we want to leave behind, what we want people to say about us. And I think that ties into definitely our friendships that we've developed over the years. We just want people to always have good things to say about us, you know, but it's definitely an interesting time when you get to my age. So, you know, you start losing touch with people, and then they start falling off the earth and you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, exactly. I could touch more on that, but we have a question that may tie into my answer later, or actually two questions from now, so I'll save it. But we may have to yell at Mike a little bit because he did ask a wrestling related question, kind of. Actually, two now that I'm thinking about it,
you,
but
you
all right, we'll
you
let it
can't
slide.
you can't stay away. You can't stay away.
Can't help himself, but we'll give him a pass. We like Mike, so we'll give him a pass. But if we could have been a member of a wrestling faction, which would it be?
Ooh, that's tough to pick just one.
I know.
Damn, that's tough to pick just one.
Ugh.
Ay, 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 ay.
I feel like do teams count? I feel like teams could count. I feel like
Maybe, but like
to get
facts.
stretched a little bit.
Ah,
Mm.
man, I'm
Cri-
struggling to choose between two factions.
Okay, I think I can. All right, I actually think this answer counts as a faction.
Okay.
I feel like Team Extreme would have easily been it, like the Hardys and Lita. Like
Yeah,
it's just
that seems like your vibe.
they were just so cool back in the day, and it's just like we've talked about how Jeff was probably one of my favorite wrestlers of all time growing up, especially growing up, and Matt was really cool too, and it's just the vibe they had, just the aura they had, it was just so cool. And then of course throwing Lita in there too, it's just yeah, that's just if you were a part of that team, you would have been immediately the coolest person in the room. So yeah, I think that would be a very fun faction to be in.
All right, so that's a pretty cool answer. It definitely fits your vibe. For
Yeah. Yeah.
me, I would have to go with the Undisputed Era. I
Oh,
I
that's a
I
good one.
I just feel like for me, the Undisputed Era was like a modern day Four Horsemen.
Hmm.
Everybody played a role, but like they were all equal. They were all
Yeah.
equal parts to each other, and they were just cool. Like, they were dominant. They weren't afraid to go after the big dogs. They made Adam Cole look like a superstar, and everybody was just cool, whether it was Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. When they brought in Roderick Strong, it was just
Hmm.
like, this is perfect. I feel like they brought back the essence of what a dominant faction could be. So if I was to wanted to be cool like that, I would go with the Undisputed Era. Honorable mention, I would have to go with the Bullet Club, but I would have to go with the AJ Styles led
Oh
Bullet
yeah.
Club. AJ
Yeah.
Styles when it was Kenny Omega had just came in, they still had the Young Bucks, Tama Tonga, Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows. I think that would have been an honorable mention. Again, another cool. That was when they were at their apex and they were selling t-shirts like crazy. Everything was Bullet Club Central. So again, I'm into those cool factions. For me, like the Four
Yeah.
Horsemen, Undisputed Era, and Bullet Club, those are like factions to me that will stand the test of time for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like if we went off at like the cool factor, I think two honorable mentions for me. Cool factor for sure would have been Judgment Day. I
Mm.
just feel like that,
What
like,
version though? What version?
Rhea and Damien's kind of like
Yeah.
the heyday of the Judgment Day. It's just it kind of mixed the whole like kind of our aesthetic too. That kind of fits like our vibe as well. I just think that would be like a super cool faction to have been a part of. And then I feel like just for the creative aspect of it, probably the Wyatt family or like the Wyatt Six, that kind of
Mm.
like group. Because I just feel like I think it's also because I've been kind of getting into a little bit of cosplay at conventions because I have a friend who's super into it, and so he's been trying to get me into it. And my I don't want to spoil it too much in case there's people that are gonna see my Instagram of what I'm planning for in the next month, but it's just I've always found that kind of cool, kind of to just tap into like the darker side of things. I think it's just kind of a cool way to go, and I feel like especially with the Wyatt family, Wyatt Six, that was just like the possibilities would have just been endless because you could have done pretty much anything and could have made it work in that like universe. So those would have been two of my honorable mentions, I think. But
Nice.
still got to go with Team Extreme.
I like it.
All right, so now non-wrestling question, of course. do we have an irrational fear?
Irrational fear. Do I have an irrational fear? I don't. I don't think it's irrational. But I just always like if you tell me what is my biggest fear, it would always be snakes. I don't like snakes.
Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Mm-mm.
I don't like snakes, and it ties into a wrestling thing. It ties into that back in the day, back in the early '90s, when Jake the Snake Roberts stuck that cobra on Macho Man
Mhm.
when he had him in the ropes.
Ugh. Yeah.
I was like maybe 5 or 6 years old, and you see
Oh.
that
Oh.
cobra like gnawing on the arm of the Macho Man with those eyes, and I was just like, this is the
Yeah.
craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't like this. I don't like snakes. Get snakes away from me. And ever since then, I have this fear of snakes. And I know people that have snakes as like pets. And I'm like, what is
Yeah.
wrong with you?
Mm, I can't. That I can see. That is definitely a definitely a realistic fear because I do not like. I don't really like snakes or bugs, but I feel like if we're gonna go like super irrational, and granted, yeah, it probably is gonna sound a little cliche, but it's the truth. It's just I feel like death is the one that like gets me the most. I think I think the problem is that like dealt with it so much so young. I remember there was a time in my life where I was growing up and I had to have been not even 10. I was probably like a little, but I remember over the span of like 3 or 4 years, I lost like at least a half a dozen people in my family.
Wow.
It was just like one after the other, after the other, after the other. And it was just like, you can only take so much after a while. So it gets a little crazy and you kind of just I feel like I can't talk about it. I can talk about it here obviously because we kind of have to, but I feel like if I like am alone with my thoughts with it too much, it kind of like sends me into a spiral. And it's always just so fascinating to me because I feel like I don't know about you, but I you have those moments sometimes of just like, oh shit, that could have been like it. That could have been like if it's that whole thing of fate. If you would have been in this specific situation or in this specific moment, at any given time or at this specific time, things could have just been completely different.
Mm.
And it's weird because I actually had a moment like that a month or so ago, and it was so weird because I remember I had called off of work because we're all adults here, we get it. Sometimes it's just like you wake up and you're not feeling it or you're just like exhausted and you're like I just need to catch up on sleep. So
Right.
I just had one of those days. I had a mental health day. I'm just like I need to go back to sleep. I just need to catch up, whatever. So I remember I woke up and I kind of like lounged around, like did my workout, whatever, during the day, and then I had to like go fill my car up. So I go fill my car up. I come back. It's probably after when I would come home from work or around when I would be leaving work, and I get back to my apartment and I go downstairs to the mailroom to pick something up, and there was somebody who used to work the front desk that we were pretty much like close acquaintances with, or at least we were friendly with her, and I looked up on the TV and they were they were talking about how there was a multi-vehicle crash on this one like highway or like I don't know what you really want to call it. It was just kind of like a parkway kind of thing, but
Mm.
the multi-person crash and it killed two people.
Jeez.
And I looked at it and I'm like, wait a minute, that's the route that I had to have taken around that time because that was when the draft was ruining my life and making me drive places I didn't want to drive. And I remember I looked at it and I looked at the front desk person. I'm like, where did this happen and when did it? She's like, it really didn't happen that long ago. And she's like, oh, I think it was like further down closer to like Route 28. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. That wouldn't have been where I was going anyway. And I got back to my apartment and I looked it up on the news online. And it turns out it was the exact same off ramp that I would have taken to
Ooh.
get home from work around that exact same time. And I think what had happened was just somebody was going way too fast and rounded the curve and it was kind of backed up on the curve and just a bunch of cars just ran into each other, and one of them came off the actual on ramp onto the road below, and like I said, two people died. And I just remember sitting there going, I could have been involved in that, or maybe if by the grace of whatever, I could have just been stuck in traffic because of it. But it's just that kind of moment of, if I wouldn't have called off from work, I would have had to have been coming home around that time, and who knows what would have happened. But yeah, it makes you think a little bit. Sometimes fate works in very odd ways, but
That's crazy.
yeah, it was and thankfully I don't have to drive that way much anymore unless I like am forced to. So thankfully I can avoid that at all costs. But yeah, it's like, guys, at the end of the day, slow down on the roads, please. Like, if the speed limit's 45, you don't need to be going 70, 75. But it's just people in general. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, fear is just a very I just hate like the thought of it. And like I said, if I think about it too much, it sends me into a spiral. So that would probably be like, I would think, irrational fear, I would
Yeah.
believe.
I mean, I don't find that to be irrational because I'm sort of the same way. I'm sort of the same way where it's constantly on my mind. I don't know, I wouldn't say unhealthy amount, but you just
Yeah.
you kind of have no choice but to think about that stuff. And like you said, think about fate and where you could have been at that time. That kind of weighs on your mind heavily.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did that day for sure. But yeah, it's not my favorite thing to talk about, but we had to answer it, and it just happens, but it
Wow.
just be like that sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was a it was a very weird thing to look at, but again, funny how fate works in that way.
Yeah.
All right, so all right, so this is gonna be a good one. So we could go back in time to witness any event in history. You'd be just an observer, totally safe from whatever's going on, but it would be something you could witness with your own eyes and know the undisputed truth about the historical event. What would that be?
Damn, that's tough.
Yeah, yeah, that one I had to like kind of like do some pre-research on because I feel like it would have taken me a very long time to come up with something on air, but I did I did actually come up with one, so if you need me to like buy you
Yeah,
some time,
yeah,
well, all
buy me
right.
some time so I could hear yours and see if I can come up with something.
All right, so the thing that I would go back to witness would be kind of going with the theme of a question we had earlier, was I would go back to Pompeii when Mount Vesuvius erupted,
Oh, okay.
because it is so fascinating, but also just, I can imagine, just horrifying and traumatic to have experienced. And I it was interesting because we talked about museums earlier. The local science center a couple of years ago had a exhibit on Pompeii, and it was kind of just like, had artifacts of what life was like back then, and then it kind of had an exhibit of actual things from Pompeii when Vesuvius erupted. And it's kind of funny to look back on now, because I went on a date with a girl to that, and it ended up obviously not working out. But I mean, the exhibit itself was fascinating to me because, again, I love that whole like Roman, Greek like history and whatnot. And it's just such an odd thing to see just these people just frozen in a time period and just like covered in ash, just
Mhm.
completely like encased in ash and just dead. But and it's just because I was watching again, because now that Mike had asked that, I did a little like documentary viewing before we came on here, and it's just everyone assumed that, oh well, they all died because they were burned to death, or oh, they were crumbled under all these like the rubble and stuff. And it's like, no, a lot of them actually died because of the fumes and the ash in the air just like suffocating them to death. So they didn't get crushed or anything, they just died and looked as if they were just asleep, and then the ash just froze them in a time frame. And people are still uncovering them to this day. Like they said, there's probably, I don't remember what the documentary said. It was like maybe if they only uncovered, maybe we'll just say like 1,000 like bodies, but there's probably like 10,000 somewhere in and
Mhm.
around that area. It's just they can't can't or haven't like excavated it yet. And
Right.
so it's just to see that would be equal parts again terrifying and traumatic, but also just very fascinating to see like how did they get out? Like how quick was it? Because they make it sound like it was a couple hours. It wasn't like instant, but it was like when it hit them quickly. But and it wasn't even just a happened once and that was it. There was like another like surge of like ash and toxic gas and whatever that ended up taking most of the people out because it didn't hit them right away. And it's just reached outside of the city to like where they were trying to escape, and that's where they said probably most of the bodies are, or they're not even in Pompeii. They're just like on the outskirts because they were trying to escape. And I don't know, it's a very horrifying thing that happened, but it's also kind of just again fascinating to me how a lot of this is just like frozen in time because of just the ash and stuff that encased everything. And they actually did have in those exhibits like actual, I would assume, corpses of like people, and it literally just looks like someone chiseled it out of stone or something. But it's like, no, that's an actual just person that I'm looking at through a glass thing. And it's just I couldn't imagine what they were thinking of in those final moments. That would be very horrifying to me. But I think that was definitely what I would go back and see, because I'd just be interested to see what it looked like that day.
Interesting. For me, I'm going to go with something a little less morbid.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
I would want to go back and go to Woodstock.
Okay, yeah, that's a little better than I answered,
Yeah,
but
I just something, that kind of fascinates me about that time period, where everything was like peace, love, and happiness and everything like
yeah.
that. And to go back, and I'd be probably one of the weird ones that are like, no, I'm here to listen to the music. I don't want to do any
Doing anything else.
freaky weird stuff, or I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe the psychedelics were good. I don't know, but I
Yeah,
think I
you
think
never know.
yeah, right. I think going back to Woodstock and experiencing that. I've seen a couple Woodstock documentaries, and I was always like fascinated with like the music and stuff like that. And it's different nowadays where people go to like raves and festivals. I couldn't do it, so it's kind of out of character, but I still would be interested in going.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just it makes me laugh that we went to completely different
Yeah,
spectrums on
yeah.
that one. But
You went for some danger.
I mean, Mike kind of prefaced it by being like, "You'd be okay." So it's just like, if I got a bird's eye view of that happening, I guess again, I think it was also just seeing that exhibit just fascinated me, but it was also just like, oh wow, these people really just suffered. But it was I couldn't even imagine the pain that those poor people were in. But again, it's that weird. Again, it's that whole thing, like, I hate death and stuff, but that kind of stuff fascinates me, and I don't really know how to describe it. It's
Right.
just, I guess when it's not personally, like, coming down on you, I suppose it's a little more easily digestible, I suppose, but, I don't know. I just thought it was a really interesting period of time, but also very morbid, I would agree. But yeah, Woodstock would definitely be the opposite of that one. Just like
Yeah.
everything was great and no one had any worries ever. So you know what? Yeah, I don't think I would partake in the shrooms or anything either. But the music would have been really cool back then, I would
Yeah,
think.
I would have definitely went for the music.
Yeah, yeah, not those psychedelics or anything.
No.
But then you never know. All right, so this one may be very interesting. So, what is one conspiracy theory that you either believe or are coming around to believing?
Oh, Jesus. Is it safe to even talk about that on the podcast?
I was gonna say we might get taken off the air immediately. I mean, I feel like mine's a very like easy to go there answer, but it's also just again, I just think it's something that has to be true or in some way, shape, or form has to be true, and I think that's aliens
Uh,
because I just feel like, in my opinion, it's very it's very naive of us to think that in this entire like not even just the planet Earth, just in the galaxy, we're it. There's just like
right.
you would have to think that there's something else out there and it cannot just be us. Like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
very selfish and just like, again, naive way of thinking of like, oh, we're the only planet that has life forms and exists, and yeah, that's it. So it's like, no, there has to be something else out there. And you got that whole thing with Area 51, where I think, what was it, a couple years ago, the government was pretty much just like, yeah, there's aliens. That was it. And it was just funny to me that no one really like batted an eye at it, because I think everyone just was pretty much under the assumption that they did exist. But
Yeah.
it's almost just like, this is gonna sound so silly, but it's the truth that Trixie and Katya, the two drag queens, I always watch their show, they were talking about aliens on the one episode. And as funny as it is for them to be talking about it, Trixie did bring up a good point of just like, what would they, if there are aliens, what would they even look like? Because you have like the Hollywood's version of aliens, which are always just like big, green or tall, like human, like, because again, it's always still fashioned after like what humans look like, just not entirely human like. But would they look like that? Would they look like, I don't know, stuff from Cloverfield? Would they look from like Arrival or Annihilation or something? It's just like, there's got to be something else out there, I would
Right.
think.
Yeah.
But that's as close to a tinfoil hat as I will be putting on my head. But
Yeah, I'm gonna go safe, and I'm also going to go with the aliens. I think I have not many conspiracy theories that I believe in, but
mhm,
none that I feel safe talking about on the podcast. But the aliens
yeah,
one always fascinated me, because it's like you say, we can't be naive to think that we're the only or one of the only, species in this universe. I mean, space is
yeah,
infinite,
yeah,
so there could be whole other worlds where they're like, maybe the aliens don't look like the way we think they do, but they look more human like than we think, you know?
yeah.
Like maybe like it something that always fascinated me was, if you I don't know if you know the show The Flash. um
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's always different Earths. There's like
Mhm,
Earth 9, and then there's like different Earths that, they can travel to and stuff like that. So I always wondered if space is like that, where there are different, obviously there are different planets, but how many planets are like Earth, where they have life
yeah,
forms on there that are thriving and living off the land, and maybe building civilizations completely different from ours, and technology is different. Maybe there is a Wakanda, I don't know.
yeah. Like,
So like that's always stuff that fascinated me about space, and the fact that it's infinite, you know?
yeah, it's like even just that sentence too just makes you sit there and go, Jesus, you're right. It is just like, it just keeps going. It just keeps on going. So yeah, it's like there has to be something else out there. It's just, I I don't know. I just feel like that's the easiest thing to go, but it's just also just the most plausible, I would think, because it's like there's got to be more out there than just us,
Right.
I would think.
I agree.
Because if it isn't, I'd be more worried about that, I think, if it was just us than if there were other people, but you never know. All right, so I actually lied a little bit. So this question is not wrestling related per se, but it just had to be kind of like put in a wrestling scenario, but I'll explain. So we're both on death row.
Okay.
In my case, in my case, it's because Dakota Kai and Shayna Baszler went from main eventing WrestleMania to being pulled from the card completely.
Ooh.
And you, because you found out Eddie Kingston's actually from Guam, not New
Okay.
York. So we both went berserk, and because of our actions, we're about to be executed in some way, shape, or form.
Wow.
So because of our actions, what is our final meal going to be? Um, it's a funny scenario because I think that is a very accurate depiction. And it's so funny because if you watch those like that I'm trying to remember the name of the YouTube channel, but it's like they pretty much bring celebrities on to like have their last meals.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that a couple times.
Yeah, mom and I've watched a couple of them before, so we actually have had this answer, but I don't think we should go as like wild as they do, but it's also just like that's a very broad term. So it's just like, how many courses do we have in this final meal? Do we have just like, does it have to be just one specific thing, or can it be like 3 to 4 things? Like, what do we want to do with this one?
I'd say, I don't know. Uh, I guess you could have multiple courses. I mean, it's your last meal.
Okay, so what do we want to do then? Do we want to do like an appetizer, a
I already,
second
I already, I,
appetizer?
I already know what mine is, and it's definitely I don't need courses. I
Okay.
just need the actual food. But I'm definitely interested in your answer.
Oh boy. All right. So it's so tough because it's just like I love so many different kinds of food. Um, God. Um, hmm. So some of these are very cliche, but it's just the truth. I feel like one of the courses has to be my mom's chicken parm
Oh,
because, and I always, and it sounds so like, oh, of course you would say that because it's your own mom. It's just like, no, she's a very good cook. We're Italian, so we kind of have to be. But I feel like when she makes chicken parm, I never like it. There's never any other kind of chicken parm I like more than when she makes it. Like if we go out, I just don't even bother because I'm like, it's not gonna be as good as hers anyway. So it's like, who
wow,
cares?
high
Like I said,
praise.
see, so like when you come over, we have to like eat chicken parm, so you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Sign me up if it's that good.
I mean I think it is, but again, I also horribly biased, but feel like that for sure. If we had the option if we had the option for a breakfast portion, I would get pancakes from Cracker Barrel
Uh,
because once again, I cannot find any other pancakes that I like more than Cracker Barrels. It's just the perfect mix of they're sweet but they're salty because of the griddle. They kind of got that crunch to them on the outside, like the crispy edges. Um, I same mindset of mom's chicken parm. I have yet to find pancakes that I like more than Cracker Barrels, so I would do that. I would do mom's chicken parm. Um, oh, dessert's tough because I have like a sweet tooth, so this could be
mm,
like a lot of different things.
oh, nice.
Oh fuck. This one's kind of tough because it's not technically one of her recipes per se, but she just makes it from a recipe. It's a mom will make, and she hasn't made it in a very long time. I may have to convince her to make it next weekend or something. It's have you ever heard of like the Nestle Toll House like cookie pie?
Cookie pie. I have not heard of that, but I am intrigued.
Okay, so it's not exactly what you think it is. It's not
Okay.
like, okay, well, we put a pie crust in, and then we put like cookie dough inside the pie crust. It's like there's its own like mix of like, it's not cookie dough, but it's like, I don't even remember what exactly is in it, to be completely honest. It's kind of like, oh, what's it kind of comparative to? Kind of like the filling in like pecan pie. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that brown sugar, kind of like whatever. It's like that, except just chocolate chips.
Mm.
Except it kind of has like a cookie dough or like a cookie like look on the top because it kind of like browns and crackles a little bit. That is probably one of my favorite desserts, and I haven't had it in so long. So again, I may just have to convince mom to make it.
Well, she's gonna be listening, and
Well,
if
she will be.
yeah, and if you can figure out how to send one through the U.S. Postal Service, I will take one as well.
All right, we'll have to like freeze dry it or something for you. I don't know how well it would. Well, we'll have to wait until maybe it's a little colder. I don't think if it makes it through the USPS in the heat right now, I think it would not turn out very great for you. But yeah, I think other than that, I think again it's so tough because there's so many like restaurant foods that I would be like, oh yeah, I would absolutely get that. But it's just like if I had that, we'd be here all night. But I do like the tacos from like the taco place that's like is down the street from my apartment. They have it's kind of a chain. They have like restaurants all around the country. It's called Bakersfield, but they have some of the best tacos I have ever had. Like some of the best like fish tacos, some of the best short rib, like pollo rojo tacos. Like they are good, and they're not that like we always say the Americanized tacos, where it's like the hard shell, and it's not Taco Bell. It's
Right.
like handmade, like hand pressed, like tortilla, like soft shells and everything. And it's just it is one of our favorite places to go in the city. That's just the problem. I can make a whole last meal of just like all my favorite like Pittsburgh foods, but I don't want to go too much into it. So we'll go at least for the sake of this, so we don't have to have a 3 hour long episode. Is I'll go for the Cracker Barrel pancakes, Bakersfield tacos, my mom's chicken parm, and the Toll House cookie pie for dessert before I
Jesus.
go out for my transgressions against this world.
Man, that is a menu. That is a
Yeah.
spread.
I have a guess on one of yours, but I want to see if I'm right. But I'll let you answer though.
Mine is pretty easy. Mine is pretty easy. If you know me, you know I love burritos. All right.
Is it the home? Is it the home wrecker?
It's the home record.
It's the home wrecker. I fucking knew it.
Two steak home wrecker burritos with all the fixins. I need two. I need two because
All right.
it's my favorite. And I just need another one to make sure that I'll never forget what it's like to eat a home wrecker burrito. You want to hear something crazy? They
Go
closed
for it.
down. They closed down the local Moe's.
Oh no! So you can't get them
I
anymore.
can't get them anymore. The nearest Moe's is like 45 minutes away. What's even worse is
Oh,
I have close to 2,000 reward points that I can't even use.
oh no! Oh, dude. Another reason
Uh,
why you have to come down here is we have a Moe's literally 10 minutes up the street.
oh
So,
my God. See,
oh,
you're living the life.
I haven't had Moe's in so long though. I feel like I had it a couple months ago, and it's good. I definitely would rather have it than Chipotle because they suck. I'll say it, but yeah, I did like Moe's last time I had it. I think I just kind of like overfilled my burrito, and I'm like, that was a mistake. But I feel like I need to give Taco Bell another try though. But
Taco
I
Bell's
like,
okay if you just want sustenance and
yeah,
you're not looking for quality. I feel like
I like their steak. Their steak's not bad.
yeah, and I feel like
I wouldn't get their ground beef though. That's like where that would be like, okay, I would try the chicken and I would try like the steak because I have had the steak before, but now I wouldn't get the ground beef because it's just like,
yeah,
no.
Chipotle's okay,
Yeah, I hate
but
it.
it's kind of mid.
It's overrated.
Yeah, it is a
I'll
little
say it.
overrated. Moe's just hits right, man, and they give you burritos the size of footballs. You know, you
Yeah.
can't go wrong. Like I said, give me two, and since I'm on death row, you know I'm gonna finish it. It's just gonna take me a little time.
Yeah, I mean, you got time. Like,
Yeah,
why not? I just can't believe you're just closed, man. That
yeah,
sucks. Like,
yeah. I,
god damn.
and I'm just mad about the reward points.
I know. Like,
I got
you may just have to
reward
make a
points
trip.
I can't use.
You may just have to make a trip over there. Get like 5 home wrecker burritos and just store them or something. I don't know.
Probably
Like,
that's a good idea.
yeah, I mean, why not? Like, no, and it's funny because you would think that that's such a wild thing, but I it reminded me of a story like when the whole like pandemic was going on, when things were like awful. And my mom loves pink drinks from Starbucks.
Uh.
Um, it's my own fault. I like them. I mean, I like them first, got her onto them, and now she loves them more than I do. I'll have them occasionally if I'm feeling it, but whatever. And they the closest one to Punxsy was like a 30-45 minute drive away. And so
Jeez.
we went for a drive because what else are you gonna do in the pandemic except drive? We drove to that Starbucks, and I'm not even joking, she had a pitcher that she brought with us. And I didn't realize she had it until she's like, yeah, I'll take, I don't remember how many. We'll just say 3 or 4 like Trenta pink drinks. So, it's like the big like size of Starbucks.
Right.
I'm like, where are you gonna put all these? She's like, I'm gonna show you where. And she pulled the pitcher out, and I had to sit there in the car while she dumped it all in the pitcher. And that was her way of getting them. So the whole going to get the 5 homewreckers really isn't out of the realm of possibility, dude. I think you need to do it.
Damn, that's crazy. She was dedicated to that drink.
Yeah, it still is to this day.
Wow.
But when but now they have one in Punxsy, and there's like 5,000 of them in the city. So when she's down here, she can get them whenever she wants. But
There you go.
yeah, yeah. See, it's tough. It's just like we're foodies, so it's like it's tough for me to narrow that kind of stuff down. But
Yeah, and I bet
I did.
Pittsburgh has a bunch of great restaurants too.
Oh, they do. They really do. We could have a whole podcast episode talking about it, to be honest. But I had to try and narrow it down a little bit.
Oh
All
boy.
right. So, so funny enough, we go from a food question to another food question, but it's snacks this time. So, Mike doesn't know if this is just a Canada thing, but what is our pop chips and bar combo? And by bar, I mean chocolate. So, what is our like soda chips and like chocolate bar combo?
That's
I
like
feel like I've seen this thing on like Twitter or something where it's just like, I'll pick one from each row or something. I feel like that's
right,
what this
right,
might
yeah.
be. So, yeah.
All right, so soda, I always go for the root beer. I'm a root beer kind of
Yeah.
guy.
Mm.
So it's pretty simple with me. Root beer, chips. I like the spicy sweet chili Doritos, the
Ooh,
purple bag.
love those.
Purple Doritos. Get me some purple Doritos, and
Love.
can't go wrong with a king size Reese's cup.
I see. I don't mind Reese's, but they're not my favorite. But
Mm.
I don't mind them. If I had one, I would be like, yeah, sure, why not? Oh, this is okay. Well, the soda's easy for me. It's always Coke. That's always been my favorite soda. If you try to give me Pepsi, I'm gonna be offended because
Oh,
Pepsi is trash. I hate
wow.
Pepsi. Like, so I hate it because it's like you have that or like you get Coke or Pepsi when you're at restaurants and you never know what you're going to get until you get there. So it's like if I have to have Pepsi at a restaurant, I do it begrudgingly or I just get water, but whatever. But no, so Coke is definitely my soda. Oh, chips are tough because I could pick from a couple. Hmm, I do like Ruffles plain because I
Mm,
feel like they're like the saltiest of like the plain potato chips. And I do like salt. I do also like cheddar and sour cream ruffles. I just think I
mm.
like cheddar sour cream like in general. So those two would be in contention. And I feel like I don't know if you guys have this brand. It's called, I think it's Snyder's, or I think that's the name of it. It's kind of like a blue and gray, kind of like chromy like bag.
Mm.
I don't know if they have them down there with you guys, but we have them up here, and they have barbecue chips that are the saltiest barbecue chips I've ever had in my entire life, and they're delicious. I love them so much. Ah, and it sucks because I like cheddar and I like sour cream and onion like chips too, but
You're a chip connoisseur.
oh, I think it's more because I'm anemic, so I just like salty foods. So unfortunately, I think I just by default like those kind of snacks. But if I had to pick, mm, I gotta go with cheddar and sour cream. I
Cheddar
just
sour cream. What a combo.
always like those. And then chocolate bar. Oh, damn. This is a toss up between a Crunch bar and a Kit Kat bar.
Oh, can't go wrong with either of those.
I think for this one though, I'll go with the Crunch bar.
Crunch bar
But
is nice.
I do like the crunch. It's funny because this doesn't count as a bar though, but if I had to pick between that or Bunch of Crunch, I would rather go with Bunch of Crunch. I don't know why,
Oh,
but I've always just liked the Bunch of Crunch, I guess. I don't know. But I also, again, I have a sweet tooth, so it's like I like those. I like Kit Kats. I have gotten onto 100-gram bars. I think they're pretty good. I like Snickers. They're not like my favorite, but they're pretty good. York peppermint patties. I've really like mint and chocolate lately. I guess it's just as I've gotten older, I've appreciated the mint chocolate combo.
I can't
But
do mint chocolate. Mint chocolate ice cream
oh,
skeeves me out.
see, I like that. I like mint chocolate as a combo,
I
but
can't. It's like chocolate and toothpaste. I can't
okay,
do
I was
it.
gonna say, I knew you were gonna say toothpaste, but all right. Yeah, I think I would. if I had to, I would go with the Crunch Bar or the Kit Kats. But for the sake, I will do Coke, cheddar and sour cream ruffles, and a Crunch Bar.
Nice, nice, good combo.
Now I'm hungry and it's 10 o'clock at night. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate that.
Yeah, Mike.
What is our guilty pleasure TV show?
Mine would be Ghost Adventures and Bar Rescue.
Oh, Bar Rescue. Jesus. You and my parents, like, it's a good show though. I'll give them that.
I swear I could run a bar from so many Bar Rescue episodes that I've seen.
Yeah.
I could run a bar efficiently.
Yeah. Those are good. Those are good ones. I feel like RuPaul's Drag Race is always like up there for me. Forensic Files is probably like a big one. I could easily solve and or commit a murder with the amount of Forensic Files I've watched. I think another one, I don't think it's on TV anymore though, but it was Portals to Hell. It was Jack Osborne and I don't remember her name. It was like it was a paranormal investigation kind of show pretty much again, because we've talked about it. We do like the spooky stuff.
Yeah.
So but yeah, if I've had to like I think I've just seen so many Forensic Files, because the thing is, Forensic Files is on TV all the time.
Oh yeah.
It's literally just like the only show I think HLN like shows is Forensic Files. So it's like if I'm sitting in the middle of the afternoon with nothing to do, Forensic Files is on. Is it super early in the morning? Forensic Files is on. Am I in a hotel room at like 1:30 in the morning? Forensic Files is on. So I feel like that one fits the bill, because it's just like no matter what time of the day it is, you can always watch some Forensic Files and study up on your forensics and stuff. But
yeah, that's how I feel with like Ghost Adventures. I think I would go ghost hunting, but most haunted places have stairs. So I'd be screwed.
Yeah, they don't really have those ramps, unfortunately.
Yeah, they don't have ramps in haunted places.
Maybe in like the mental institution, maybe.
Maybe.
But even then, I feel like I don't know. I feel like because I watch so much like paranormal stuff, because that's another thing that's always fascinated me. It's kind of like the paranormal. It's actually kind of funny that I do think I have we call them my roommates in my apartment. And it's interesting because they're not really, I don't think I've narrowed down what type of spirits they actually are. It's just they are literally in one specific part of my apartment and nowhere else. And they are literally in, okay, so my like living room and kitchen is kind of like one room, and the one side of my like living room are all like windows. Like the entire like side are just like almost floor to ceiling length windows. And we have these drapes that you have like the chains that you can like move the like curtains up and down on. And there's this one set of chains in like the back corner by my like bookshelf with like my collectibles and stuff behind my couch. And it just for no reason at all, just starts swinging sometimes. And it's not the air conditioning, because the air conditioning's on right now and it's not moving at all because it's kind of like, again, in the corner, and the wind and the air conditioning doesn't blow that way. And it's so funny because I think it started because we always watch Scarlett and Shotzi's like Chamber of Horrors. That's like one of our favorite things to watch on YouTube. And I just remember I turned around once because I think I was like trying to reach for something behind the couch, and I like noticed that the chain was spinning. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. It usually doesn't like, because if like the wind or the like air conditioning hits it, it'll just go like back and forth. It just won't like spin. Or it doesn't like spin, it just kind of like moves in a circle almost. It just kind of like circles nothing. And we just like kind of like watch them, and it's like, oh hey guys, how's it going? Like I wish you guys would pay some rent, but whatever. And they literally do nothing but swing on they just swing on the chain on my curtain. And sometimes they're here, sometimes they're not. I think when we first noticed them, it freaked Mom out because she was here for a little bit when she had her hand surgeries, and she's like, I don't wish to alarm you, but that chain does not move until you get into this apartment. As soon as you walk into this room, it starts like going. So that doesn't seem to happen much anymore because it's just
What?
me now, but I just have some roommates and apparently in this building because it was a department store before it became apartments and whatnot. Apparently the part of it is haunted and that is the 11th floor and I live on 10, so who
Nah.
knows? But I just have friends that swing on my curtain chain just for the hell of it, and that's pretty much all they do. But yeah, it's just kind of funny to look back and be like, oh, hey guys, what's up? Like, how's it going? It's like
Not staying at Shay's house, I'll tell you that.
that's all they do though. They don't like move anything or whatnot because like they're sitting next to my collectible shelf. If something on there were to move, I would be concerned because the stuff I have are not very like flimsy to the point of, oh, well, like the breeze from the air conditioning caught it and it fell over. It's like, no, most of them are pretty like decently heavy enough. So if one of those moved, I would be worried. But yeah, it's just I always thought the paranormal thing was kind of fun, although I don't think I would ever participate in a ghost hunt because I always think if you're neurodivergent in some way, shape, or form, you're kind of public enemy number one, and you're going to be the one they go after the most. But yeah, I don't think I would be the best person to take because I feel like I would probably take it. I don't know. I think I would just get creeped out a little bit too much, and I kind of get in my own head.
Right.
But I don't know about you, but I do definitely believe in the paranormal. There have been things that have happened
I,
in my life that it's one of those where it's like you can't really count it as a coincidence. I mean, hell, we have time. We might as well talk about it, right? Like,
uh,
but the only one that happened to me, I'll have to like remember to tell you the other story later because they technically happened to mom. But the one that happened to me was I was in my childhood home in the bathroom and I was washing my hands, and the way like our bathroom window looked out to the back porch, there was like a door and then like steps that went down to the backyard, and then you walk down the path and there's like another set of steps that takes you up to like the driveway and the garage. So if you look out the window, you could see if somebody would be out there.
right.
And I'm like washing my hands, whatever. And I heard this woman's voice clear as day just say, "Hello, is anyone there?"
Ooh.
And I'm standing there and I'm like, who the fuck is back here? Because everybody knew my family back home. So of course it's just like, okay, who invited who here and didn't tell us? Like, what the fuck? And so I like opened up the window to like see who was there. Nobody there.
Nope.
Nobody on the porch, nobody in the yard, nobody in the driveway. Just somebody saying it, just a disembodied voice. And I like think my grandmother was home at the time and I'm like, did you hear somebody's voice at all? Like it's on like a couple minutes ago, and she's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh, that's great.
Nope.
So that was the only one I ever
Nope.
experienced,
Yeah.
like firsthand.
The only one I've only experienced it one time, and this is something. It freaked me out because I thought there's no possible way. But I don't know if
Mhm.
you ever heard of something called the Hat Man.
I think that sounds familiar. Yeah.
It was way back when we had just moved to Jersey. We've only been here a couple months or so. We're in this new apartment, and my mom had a like she liked to light candles at nighttime. So the room would have a candle glow to it. And I swear to God, I looked up and there was this dark figure with a hat that looked like it was carrying a suitcase, and it was at the foot of my bed, and it freaked me out so bad that I put the covers over my head and I literally felt paralyzed. Like
Oh.
I couldn't I was too afraid to look again to see if it was there. That's how
Mm-mm.
bad it freaked me out. But like I always thought like there's no such thing. It was just was something, and then I looked it up and there was like, yeah, the Hat Man is a real thing, and it's like a
Mhm.
real like superstition, and I'm just like to this day it freaks me out, and like I don't even know why I watch so much Ghost Adventures. I'm like it freaks me out, and I still watch it like an idiot.
Yeah, it's it just Like I said, I'll have to tell you the other one some other time. Obviously, I don't want to get too. We don't want to go too long into this, but yeah, it's definitely believe that's for sure. There's
Wow.
definitely no denying it on that one. But
Jeez.
yeah. So we go from that fun one to Mike would like to know what is the biggest what if in our lives.
The biggest what if.
God.
Oh man.
Mm,
The biggest what if.
it's a tough one.
Yeah. That for me would be uh, geez, what would it be? Probably like if I took my education more seriously and I
Hmm.
actually like pursued a degree and actually stuck with it, like where
Yeah.
would my life be right now? You know,
Yeah.
you know that being everything nowadays is so much more expensive and people are living paycheck to paycheck and we're just scrounging by. I always wondered if I took my education a little bit more seriously post high school, if I would be in a different situation, if I'd be in a better standing. So I think that would probably be the biggest what if for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. Um. I guess I always wondered, like, what if I actually got a job in the degree I went to school for?
Hmm.
Because I went to school for sport management because at the time I was just like, well, there's really nothing else that like interests me. And it's like, of course, I love sports. Like, I grew up with sports, I played sports. Like, yeah, it just makes total sense for me, of all people, to like go into sport management, whatever. And the more I was in it, um, I graduated, I got the degree, whatever. And I remember not long after, I like could not find a job. It was just like I could not find a job in anything that I really wanted to do in the sporting field. And I remember I had this like, I always call it like an existential crisis moment of, do I actually want to like go into sports, or do I just want to like do something outside of it? And then I realized I'm like, I only want to enjoy sports. I don't want to like actually work in it,
Right.
because my biggest fear was always, I get into a sport that I enjoy, say like hockey or whatever, and if I don't like how something's being run, I'm going to end up hating it subconsciously because I saw the ins and outs of it. And something like you don't want to see sometimes. And I just remember like, again, having such an existential crisis moment of like, I just wasted 4 years of my life. I wasted money on college and whatever. And I'm just like having a mental breakdown in front of my parents. And my mom's just like, we don't feel like you wasted your time and you didn't waste money or anything. You made friends that you still talk with to this day. So it's just like, it's not, you didn't regret it. You just, at least you figured it out before you got into it and came to that realization too late. So yeah, I wonder what would have happened. Would I have still been enjoying the like sport? Would I have ended up hating it like I thought I would have? So I feel like it would have been a very interesting what if for me if I would have actually just went into the field I went to school for. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing pretty good for yourself nowadays, so it's not so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, still enjoying sports, and I'm in a job that I don't deal with the general public. So you know what? It's the best of both worlds on that one. So I'll take it. Definitely not what I expected to be doing, but I can't complain. I actually don't mind my job. I do like it most days.
Yeah.
Not always, but I think that's just everybody at this rate. All right, so we finally, believe it or not, we've come to Mike's last question,
Mm.
and these are personal questions. So your question is, explain the meeting, the legit meeting with Lime, Alexandra,
Oh.
and mine was, I felt bad a little bit. I think poor Mike, he worded it in such a way that I'm like, I feel like I know where you're going with this, but I just want to make sure. And so I like double check with him, and this is exactly what he meant. He would like to know at what age, pretty much what age did I come out, essentially.
Okay.
So, um, you want to go first? I go first. Doesn't matter.
I want to hear your story. Your story is way more interesting.
Okay, well, I pretty much came out very I mean, I guess objectively later than most people do, because a lot of people like come out in their like teenage years because that's their formative years and whatever. However, growing up in the environment I grew up in probably was not very conducive to feeling comfortable enough to come out with how I actually felt, but I feel like also that environment also made it very confusing. So I don't think I actually made it into an environment where I was fully able to look at myself and go, okay, like this is actually how you have always been. You just never really maybe wanted to admit it. Maybe it was just that kind of small town internalized homophobia. I don't know, but it pretty much happened around, shockingly, around the time I moved up here the first time to Pittsburgh, because I was around people who were in my position before and people who I felt like, oh, that's where I want to be, like mentally or comfortable with myself and whatnot, and just experiencing things shockingly outside of small town USA. And I think that's always just that weird, it's always a weird thing of there's two types of people who grow up in small towns in like the country, where it's like the people who never leave because that's all they know, or people who get a taste of, oh, this is what it's like outside of it and I don't want to stay here. And that was pretty much the boat I was in, because I never really, I wouldn't say so much as like I didn't really like the town. It was just the people in it and their mindsets were not something that I aligned with and still don't align with to this day. So I don't think I was ever going to fully be myself if I stayed in that town. So moving up here the first time and getting to hang around with Auden and their friends and seeing their experiences and whatnot and meeting new people up here, it was like, huh, okay. So I think it kind of started to fully like I don't know, come to fruition when I was working with the Pirates, because I had have a friend who was out at the time, and he would just be like talking to me about drag race and like drag and like the queer community and all these things, and I'm just like, so this is what I've been missing out on for quite a while. So I think I fully did end up coming out like as of who I am now probably when I was like 23. So it hasn't been too terribly long, but it was the the way I came out to both my parents were very um maybe not so much anti, I mean for mom it was very anticlimactic. Like you see it in like the media and everything. It's always just like, oh, this big like dramatic, like, oh my god, I still love you, and
Yeah.
oh my god, like just like, you know, the movies version of it, whatever.
Yeah.
And I looking back on it, my parents definitely knew. They just never said anything.
Right.
And so I kind of, and of course, my parents would always kind of hint at, well, like, you can be whoever you want. You know, we're never going to judge you for it and whatever. And I just never really, like, actually said it until I finally did. And so I think like I said, they knew. And I feel like if you know me enough, it was very obvious. I just never really put two and two together until that time. And I remember I wasn't so much nervous telling either of them, to be honest. I remember I just told mom and I was just waiting for her reaction. And it was literally just like, okay, what do you want to watch on TV? That was literally like, that was literally kind of it. It was just, it's like, okay, like, what do you want to watch? What do you want for dinner? Like, and essentially, and I just looked at her and I'm like, you knew, didn't you? You fucking knew this entire time. And she's like, yeah, I did know, but it wasn't my position to tell you. You had to figure it out for yourself. So she's like, obviously you knew how we like where we stood. It was never going to change. We were always going to love you no matter what, and as long as you were happy, that's all that mattered. So that was her story. My dad's story is a little funnier. I always knew he was never going to be a problem either, and it's so funny because if you looked at him, and if you unfortunately had to like judge him just based off of how he looks and how he is, you would unfortunately think he would not be a very supportive family member, because he's very old school, like country guy, whatever. But I remember I thought it was a great idea to tell him on the way to a Steelers game on his birthday, in the car. So I I don't know why I didn't feel that I didn't think to just say it the way I told mom, but I kind of had it like in the way of I was like talking to a girl at the time, and so I'm like, oh, that's like the best segue I can go. Oh, I'm just like talking to her and whatever. And so it took me about three-quarters of the way to get to Pittsburgh to finally like get the nerve to say it. And I finally just like told him, and she's like, oh, okay. He's like, I don't care, right? It's just you're still my daughter. I still love you. Not a big deal. I'm like, okay. Like, thankfully I didn't cry. There was no crying or anything. And he's just, and so my poor dad, he's like, yeah, I kind of like figured because you weren't like, seeing anybody or anything. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? And I think he kind of realized what he said, and he's like, "Oh my god, I am so sorry. I did not mean it that way." And just like, "Dad, it's
Oh
fine. Don't
no.
worry about it." But it's just that's just my parents for you. They're definitely polar opposites of each other. So her mom's reaction, I was not surprised by, and then dad saying that did not surprise me in the least either. But I definitely don't take them for granted because I know that I have plenty of friends who unfortunately don't have the luxury of having supportive parents or just supportive family in general. So I definitely lucky to have them. Definitely lucky that they just accepted me for who I was, even if I was like still figuring it out. But yeah, definitely lucky to have them, and definitely appreciate always their support and their love because I definitely would not be where I am today without them.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good
All
stuff. Good
right.
stuff.
So you're meeting with Alexandra. Let's hear
Okay,
it.
yeah. So, like I said earlier, Alexandra and I met, I would say, around 2010, and we met through social media. We met through Twitter, and this was
Mhm.
at the time Twitter wasn't the cesspool that it is now. It was more community based. If you had a certain thing that you were into, you could definitely find other people that were also into the same thing, whether it was sports, wrestling, movies, music, anything like that. And we met through Yankees Twitter, which was a large community of fans of the New York Yankees.
Mhm.
And we met, and at the time, social media nowadays, people are very afraid to kind of strike up a random conversation with someone on
Yeah.
social media unless it's to like argue and like be counter argumentative or whatever you want to say it.
Mhm.
So, we were all into the same thing, into the Yankees and stuff like that. We became friends. And here's the thing, she will fight me tooth and nail.
Oh no.
She fights me because like she's always in the Twitch streams when we stream wrestling on Twitch.
Uh-huh.
She's always in there hanging out. She doesn't watch wrestling, but she likes just to support and like chat with other people. She will fight me tooth and nail. I swear, she slid into my DMs.
Oh no.
She
Oh
slid into my,
no. Oh
and she
boy.
will fight me tooth and nail and say it's
Oh.
the other way around. I don't
Mhm.
think so. I don't think, I know she slid into my DMs. And we were
Do you have the receipts?
uh, it's from way too far back. Way
Uh-huh.
too far back. I wish I did, but because those would be some interesting conversations. But we were talking, and the funny thing was, we were talking, and I don't know what the conversation was about, but she said something to the effect of, "Well, what's wrong? Don't your legs work?" Or something
Oh
like
no.
that.
Oh no. Oh fuck.
Yeah. she said she said something to the effect of, "Don't your legs work?" And I was like,
Oh
"Well,
no.
it's funny that you say that." And when I told her the whole situation, it was
My
like
God.
it was like the worst possible thing she could have ever done in her eyes. She was just like, "Oh my god, I'm going to kill myself now."
Really? God damn.
And ever
I
since, yeah, ever since then, we've just been friends. I mean, we talk to each other every single day. Today we were on FaceTime for like 2 hours, just
nice,
randomly
nice.
doing nothing. We have that kind of friendship where we're just tight, and it goes back to like talking about, our friendships and stuff like that. Without her, being the type of person that she is. She's very motherly when it comes to me, you
Yeah.
know, but she's like tough love.
Hmm.
She likes to very much, what are you doing? Why are you still in bed? Get out of bed, do something productive, make your
Yeah.
bed, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, oh my God, leave me alone. Like, you know,
Shut up.
yeah, that's our friendship. And I think the world of her. She's very special to me. But yeah, that's how we met. We met through Yankees Twitter back in like 2010. And yeah, she slid into my DMs, which she will fight me. She will fight me. She won't agree that she slid into my DMs because she's too prideful. But she slid into
Mhm.
my DMs, and we've been friends ever since. And yeah, that's just so that's how
Uh,
that's when social media was good. You know,
yeah.
nowadays social media is just shit, but you can't, if you're stuck in that loop of constant scrolling, you can't get away from it. But this was back in the day where social media was a good thing and it was actually social.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that one because that's kind of like when I had met a couple friends off Twitter because we did streaming and we our mutual like interest was Life is Strange, the video game,
Right.
and we had a whole community off of with the one voice actress in the game. We like were in her Twitch streams all the time and we ended up all just like becoming friends because of it. And we don't talk as much as we used to, but I still feel like we're still family to each other even though we don't talk as much. But yeah, that was like the good old times of social media. Nowadays it's like ugh, I'd rather I'd rather not, but
Yeah.
but
I rarely communicate with other people on social media. I used to back in the day when I first started in wrestling media. That was like the most active I ever was because I was definitely trying to make my name in wrestling media and stuff like that. But nowadays, with the way things are, with the constant rage bait and
yeah,
engagement farming and stuff like that, it's just not fun to try to build up relationships and friendships with people because it's just like you just get a people weird me out nowadays. People weird me out.
yeah, yeah. People have no social like
Etiquette,
cues at all.
yeah, no
Yeah, no
social
social
etiquette,
etiquette, nothing.
nothing.
I I was just still laughing. What don't your legs work?
Yeah.
Like the worst part is that 9 times out of 10, that is never going to be an issue except the one time it was an issue. Oh god. I could have just imagined she probably wanted to take a dirt nap after that one, like, I don't blame her, I would have been the same
Oh
way, I would have been
man.
like, "I am not talking ever again," like, Christ. Oh, that is awful, but that's so funny. It's so funny though, but it is good though that she keeps you honest. I think those are the best kind of friendships too, where it's just like sometimes you have to have that tough love of just like, dude, get off your ass and do something. Like, come on, you need that like motivation and you need that someone like smacking you upside the head to tell you you're being dumb and you need to go do things. You just need to be
Yeah,
held
yeah,
accountable.
she's definitely that person for sure.
Good, good. I'm glad you got somebody like her, even though she made fun of your legs. But it's still just, that's just a funny one. I'm gonna keep thinking about that one. That was a good one. That was all of Mike's questions. So Mike, thank you for all of those questions. Those are a lot of fun for
Thanks,
sure.
Mike. Appreciate it.
All right. So we got some questions from mom, and we don't have as many as Mike's, but we still got quite a few. So all right. So I knew she was going to answer this one because I've been kind of like hoping she would. So who is our favorite musician, and what are our top 5 songs from them?
That
Oh,
that is tough because I listen to a lot of music. That's the one like
yeah,
constant. Like I wake up and instantly I'm reaching for like my headphones to get me ready throughout the day.
yeah.
When I wake up. So I listen to a lot of music, listen to a lot of different music.
Hmm.
But for me, I always grew up in the music scene, definitely locally. After I graduated high school, I started booking my own shows where I would get local bands to play shows, and they would be crazy because these kids were unruly, but it was certainly
Yeah.
some of the best times of my life putting on these shows, putting together. It was always fun when you can get a show and get like 150 kids in the door, you know, and
Yeah.
and they're all going crazy for all of the bands that are playing. So I always grew up in that sort of scene. My favorite band is a band actually from Canada. So shout out to Mike. Everything comes from Canada these days.
Okay.
A band by the name of Counterparts.
Mhm.
They're a loud, aggressive, angry band. They talk a lot about like mental health stuff, but like the dark side of mental health, things that people are too afraid to talk about. Because like if you were to publicly talk about that dark side of mental health, people would definitely call the psych ward on you and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But it's always fun because I am someone who deals with mental health issues. So to have that outlet musically, to have other people understand what you're going through with your mental health and have the bravery to speak about it is something that's very special. So that's why I identify with the band Counterparts a lot. My top five favorite songs from Counterparts are as follows: Unwavering Vow, Monument, To Hear of War, The Disconnect, and a song titled The Hands That Used to Hold Me. Again,
Mm.
it's they talk about like a lot of dark subject matter that people are kind of afraid to, you know, talk about. But I think that's why people identify with music a lot, because they can find voices to how they're feeling and words to how they're feeling, not necessarily coming from them but coming from other people. And just knowing that there are other people out there that feel the same way as you do is something very powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I may have to give them a listen because I listen to quite a bit of music throughout my day, especially at work. Because if I didn't have my music, I would probably go a little bit insane. But um, this one this one was kind of tough for me because obviously two musicians or bands come into mind right away. So obviously, no one's gonna be surprised that I'm gonna say Halsey because kind of like you with your band, it's just like I've been a fan of hers for well over a decade now because her music just hits home in so many different ways and is just like growing with an artist and kind of just looking back on certain albums and whatnot and being like, wow, these like really got me through some tough times. I really appreciate the fact that this is here and now I can look back and appreciate these things more. And then even still to this day, she's writing about stuff where I'm like, yeah, this is really like hitting home for me. I mean, hell, most of my tattoos in some way, shape, or form are based off of her lyrics because she just writes great music and just super relatable for a lot of things I've gone through. For me, it's tough. So number one of all times, Roman Holiday is off
Mm,
her first album, Badlands, because that album's probably one of my favorite albums of all time. And then down from there, we're gonna go Ego, Honey, Drive, and Bells in Santa Fe. All from like either Badlands or If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power. One from like her most recent album, but that one, that one was the easy one. But then I feel like I have to say Spirit Box too because you just gotta. I just love them. I've become a really big fan of theirs over the last few years. Kind of found their music backwards in a way because I found them, I'm pretty sure before. I think actually Eternal Blue was already out, their first album, and
mm.
I Rotoscope was the first song I ever heard of theirs, and I'm like, this band is fucking cool. Like Courtney is just like she is insane. Like the stuff she's doing in these songs is like I had never heard before. And so obviously I got to see them last year on their Tsunami Sea tour and that was fucking awesome. Like they are fantastic live. My top 5 from them it was a little harder once we got past the top 3. Like I set in stone my top 3 is easily The Void's my number 1. That's like my favorite song of theirs of all time. And then Fata Morgana off of Tsunami Sea. I just the best one of the best openers I've heard off an album. And then Sew Me Up. That one I just love the sound of it. It just sounds so deep and dark and just like they're very good at just making that like spooky, unsettling kind of like sound with their music. I don't really know how
Yeah.
else to describe it. Um And then the next two are kind of like, it's so tough for me because I could pick so many different songs. It just almost depends on the day. I feel like right now, I feel like I'm listening to Black Rainbow a lot. Um, that was one of their songs off of Tsunami Sea where I liked it at first, but I didn't really like learn to appreciate it more until I heard it live, and now it's like one of my favorite songs of theirs. And then this one's kind of funny. I have to put Hurt You and Yellow Jackets. I always have to kind of group them together because just the transition from Hurt You into Yellow Jackets is just so seamless and just so fantastic and just clean. So I feel like I always have to include them both as like a package deal whenever I mention those songs. So I'd say probably that would be my top five, but I could probably add so many more, but they're just such an awesome band. And another one where it's like, if it's not a Halsey lyric that I have somewhat on my potty, it's lately becoming Spirit Box too, but they're just both great artists and musicians, and just they talk about things that are super relatable with mental health and whatnot. And yeah, we could honestly spend a whole other podcast too talking about our music, to be
Yeah,
honest,
definitely.
because it is, I would say my music taste isn't, I'm not gonna say super all over the place. I mean, obviously Halsey kind of is more alternative, I suppose. She's not like super pop, thank God. It's just more alternative, sometimes into rock and whatnot. But I feel like I kind of lean more towards like punk rock, pop punk, like metal, that kind of stuff. Because
Yeah.
I always am always listening to Stand Atlantic, Hot Milk, The Home Team, Magnolia Park. Been lately getting into Thornhill. They're like really good. Julia Wolf's another one. She's super cool with the way she like blends her like genres and stuff together. But again, I could go on and on and on, and we don't have that kind of time, unfortunately. But those are the ones I would use for me.
Nice, nice.
All right, oh boy. If we could change one thing in our personal life, sports, a sporting event, or world history, what would it be?
Wait,
Oof.
so we have to choose one from each?
I think it'd just be any, really. If you could just change one thing in particular, what would it be?
Well, sporting event, I would go with Game 7 of the 2001 World Series, Yankees Diamondbacks. Something that probably is going to keep me up late at night tonight now that I'm thinking about it. If
Oh
we
no.
if we could only just move Derek Jeter a couple inches over to the left, we would have been good. We would have been
Yeah.
okay. We would have been
Yeah.
okay. How could we let
Mhm.
down New York in 2001, literally a month after 9/11?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Why me? Why
Uh,
me?
like, I love that we both are going sporting event with this one. Mine, and I'm gonna give my mom PTSD for bringing this one up, but it also gives me PTSD till still to this day. Game 5 of the 2016 Stanley Cup Finals, Penguins and San Jose Sharks.
Mm.
We were up 3-1 in the series. All we had to do was win this game at home. And this would have been the first time we ever won the cup on home ice because the last 3 we had won were all away. Somehow, some way, we managed to get tickets to this game. So it was insane. Like energy in that arena was electric. Could only compare it to maybe a couple other games. And the one time we couldn't score, and the one time their goalie actually remembered to stop pucks was that. And we tried coming back. We ended up losing 4-2, I think, if I remember correctly. And you could not. I was inconsolable for the rest of the night at that point because I'm just like, I could have just watched them clinch the cup, and it didn't happen. And of course, we ended up clinching it in game 6, which I'm just like, thank God we did. But I'm also just like, God damn it, I wanted to see that with my own 2 eyes. And it just didn't work out that way. So yeah, I would go back and tell them, guys, I need you to win this tonight, please, because the San Jose fans don't deserve you like doing it in front of them. We needed to be in front of the home crowd, but that's okay because then the next year when we won it back to back, we didn't win it on home ice then either. So clearly we just can't win it at home. But that would be the thing I would change. Again, I love that we both went sports because that's just us.
Yeah.
All right. So what 5 words would you use to describe yourself? Oh boy.
Ooh. Wow.
Mm.
Wow. Oh, wow. This is like one of
Uh,
those this is like one of those things where like you're like, "All right, let's go around in the group and say 2 facts about ourselves," or something like that.
uh,
Oh, wow. Put me on the
this could be one
spot.
of those where this is also one of those where I'm like, thank God my therapist doesn't listen to this because maybe these might be concerning. I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like, uh, mm,
Man.
5 words. All right. I guess I'll try and go first, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one I think is definitely loyal.
Uh,
If you mean like something to me, whether it's family, friends, whatever, I will ride or die for you as long as you don't make me look like a fool in the process.
right.
I'm a wear a heart on my sleeve kind of person, so if I care about you, you're gonna know. Like that's always my thing because I feel like we've all been in situations where it's just like you never knew where you stood with somebody or if they actually cared, and I never want anyone to ever like question if I care about them as a friend or whatever. So loyal is definitely one. Mm, this is such a therapist answer, but it's true though. I'd say self-aware is another one.
Mm,
Because I've been told that very plenty of times by my therapist, but also by my friends and family that I I don't ever try to like project if I do something wrong onto somebody else. I don't try to deflect. I don't try to blame somebody else if it was my own doing. If I fucked up, I'm gonna tell you I fucked up, and that's it. Um, I think I'm also just. I feel like it's also kind of like self-aware, almost to a detriment, though. Sometimes because it's
mhm.
like I know my faults, and it's sometimes are those actual faults, or am I just like being too hard on myself? But um, I feel like self-awareness is a thing that is lacking with a lot of people nowadays, where it's just like, guys, you got to check your ego at the door at some point. Like you're not going to always be right. You're not going to always be not in the wrong. Like you're going to make mistakes. So you kind of just have to admit that it's like, all right, yeah, I fucked up. I shouldn't have done that. Or it's like, these are like my bad habits. I'm working on them. And like you said, therapy is a wonderful thing
Yeah.
because therapy definitely helps with those. But um, you also have to have the self-awareness to admit that you need it or acknowledge that you need the help. So I guess that helps in a way too. So loyal, self-aware. Oh God. This is tough because it's like I know she did this on purpose because it's like I don't know about you, but I do not like talking about myself in this like way. I feel like she did this on purpose and I'm mad, but ugh. I feel like compassionate. I feel like I kind of touched on it a little bit with the loyalty thing, but it's just like I've dealt with some shitty people in my life and I just never want anyone to feel like badly about me as I have with other people. And so I'd rather just treat people with kindness until they show me they don't deserve it.
Mhm.
Because there are quite a few people out there where it's just like they don't extend the same kindness to you as you would to them. So it's compassionate, but it's just like you better again not make me look like a fool. And if I like my mom always says, I'll fall on a sword for you, but you better not be the one holding it when I do.
Right.
And that has happened a couple times, but again, that's just life, unfortunately. But Yeah, I'd like to say I try to be as compassionate of a person as I can be. I try not to be very judgy when it comes to people and other people's situations because it's like I don't know their situations, just
Right.
like people don't know mine. So I'd say that. Oh God, there's still two more. All right, so loyal, self-aware, compassionate. Um, mm, oh God, damn. This is tougher than it. Oh God. My poor therapist. He's gonna hear about this probably on Thursday, but I feel like I mean it's not really like it's a bad thing, but it's kind of like I mean it's true though, unfortunately. I'd say introverted. I'm not a very I feel like it's like introverted with like a little like asterisk next to it because I if you would meet me just in general and not really know a lot about me, I am very like reserved. I'm more of a wallflower kind of person.
Hmm.
Until I'm comfortable with you, and then obviously we talk because if that was the case, we wouldn't. This podcast wouldn't have been a thing.
Hmm.
So I feel like I'm just not a very outgoing kind of person unless I'm with the right people.
Right.
But even then, I'm just more reserved than anything, and I guess that helps with the self-awareness, I suppose, and like the people watching is just like you might not think I'm paying attention, but I am paying attention and observing. So I guess maybe the last one could be observant because it's like just because I'm not saying anything or like not acknowledging that something's going on doesn't mean I'm not paying attention. I can read social cues and whatnot and stuff pretty well, I suppose. So yeah, we'll just go with that. So we'll go with loyal, self-aware, compassionate, self or observant and introverted. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Nice, nice. I think this is really hard. This is really hard because
Yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of like you. I'm not the type to really talk about myself.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't like the attention.
yeah, yeah. So it's really hard, and it's really I don't spend too much time thinking about like how I would describe myself. It's just kind of
Yeah.
whatever what you see is what you get. But for the purposes of this exercise, I will I'll
Just
make it
the exercise.
yeah, I'd make it pretty easy starting off. I think I find myself to be quite funny, and for some people that might be an easy answer, but I take pride in being able to make other people laugh and
Yeah.
having the gift of making other people laugh, I think is a very special thing. So I would go with funny,
Hmm.
uh empathetic. I
Yeah.
like to I think empathy is something that the world is lacking these days, and
Yeah.
just generally, you know, putting yourself in other people's situations may help you think differently, you know. So I like to be empathetic when it comes to other people and other people's struggles, because you never know what we're going through. You never know what somebody else has going on in their life. So always good to be kind, which is another one of my characteristics, I would say, is that I'm
Yeah.
kind.
Hmm.
I like to treat people with kindness, because I feel like the world nowadays is just a very dark place. And it's not like an
Yeah.
inauthentic kindness either, where it's like over the top or anything. It's just simply talking to people how you would want to be talked to, you know, treating everybody with respect, you know. And that's
Yeah.
another one. I try to be respectful is another word that I would use, and manners goes very far with me. I think to me it was always a thing where I didn't want to make my mother look bad, you know.
Oh yes.
That was something that I was very afraid of when I was a younger kid growing up, was making my mother look bad. So I always wanted to be the kid that always had the politeness, the manners, you know, being respectful, and I feel like that gets you far in life. If you're respectful, it'll get you far in life. And it doesn't have to be anything difficult. It's just simply treating everybody with the same sort of kindness and the same sort of dignity, and you'll get far in life. Trust me. Trust me.
Yeah, it
Um,
doesn't hurt to be a good person. Who would have
yeah,
thought?
yeah. And finally, I think what's something that would describe me? I would say I'm going to steal one of yours and I'm going to say loyal. I think I'm a very
Yeah,
loyal person to the people that I care for and the people that I hold near and dear to my heart, and I always try to show up for them and try to be there for them when I can be and just be a good friend. So I think loyalty is something that I hold very near and dear to my heart as well.
yeah. See, it was actually, I think, empathetic was another good one. I think I kind of went with the compassionate.
Right.
I definitely would agree with you on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, I would agree. I say those are some good ones for sure.
definitely.
So thanks, mom. We had our free therapy for the week, I guess, I suppose. All right. Favorite flavor of ice cream.
Ooh, that's easy. Ben and Jerry's cheesecake.
Oh, that's a good one. God, I don't know if it's like a specific kind though. If we have to go like a specific like brand flavor, I would say Haagen-Dazs vanilla is so good. It's
Mm,
probably the best like vanilla. But if we're going just like flavor in general, I really like strawberry, but it has to be like actual strawberry with like pieces in it, not like that flavored stuff.
right.
So yeah, I'd probably have to go with those. I do like
Nice.
chocolate. Honestly, I like ice cream for the most part. It just depends on what I'm feeling that day, I suppose. But
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm the same way when it comes to ice cream. I like to switch it up every once in a while.
yeah, exactly. Like, and I need to try some. I need to try some chocolate toothpaste flavored some
Oh
ice cream
no.
sometime. So it's just to see,
Oh no.
and I will let you know when I do, just so I can have that same reaction. Just because.
No.
All right. Well, I'll spare you for now. All right. So our favorite and least favorite smells.
Favorite and least favorite smells. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Favorite smell, I would have to go, when you get fresh laundry.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like fresh laundry. That would be my favorite smell. My least favorite smell would probably be my dog Leroy's breath.
No. Oh, Leroy.
Yeah, and the fact that he sleeps in bed with me doesn't make things any easier because
Oh, God,
he
no.
likes to breathe that hot breath. And it's not a fun time. I love my dog to the ends of this earth, but man, I wish we could do something about his breath.
Yeah, get him like dog toothpaste or something. I
And
don't know.
his teeth are going bad.
Oh,
That's what it
yeah.
is. His teeth are going bad. So like he can only eat like wet food. He can't have
Mm.
anything tough on the teeth because they'll just fall out. So it's just like it doesn't work no matter what we do. It's no point.
Yeah, that unfortunately you can't fix that. Yeah, but oh God, yeah, no, that
Yeah.
no, thank you. Favorite smell. I always do like the smell of a good campfire or just like
Mm,
a fire in general. Um, Minus all the smoke, so you don't get the headache, but just like that wood fire kind of smell. I've always been a
yeah.
fan of. Least favorite is definitely as someone who lived in the like a small town skunk.
Skunk.
Hate the smell of skunk. It's so bad. And then it's
Interesting.
even worse when it's a dead skunk that is like been dead on the road in 90-degree heat for a week. Yeah, it's not great. It's not,
Jeez.
yeah, I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I just can't. Just
Wow.
can't. I can't do it. All right. So, mom's final, not really so much a question, but a comment was just she loves us both.
Ah, I love you too.
Very nice. Yes, love you too, mom. We always appreciate the support. That is definitely just the kind of person mom is. It doesn't matter what I do, no matter how silly or whatever it may be. She's always gonna be supporting no matter what. So I always appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. She definitely, along with Mike, keeps this show going. and
Yeah.
can't thank her and everybody's support, for riding with us for this long and making me feel like I'm a part of your family. She feels like
Yeah.
she feels like a second mother to me, so I definitely appreciate her and thank you for everything.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. She's just uh she's just great. What can I say?
Yeah.
All right, so I believe we did it. We are all
Wow.
done.
We are all done. This is our longest episode in probably like a year.
I can believe probably since the last one.
Yeah, this is crazy, but thank you guys for sending in those wonderful questions and making this third installment of Ask Us Anything probably my favorite and
Yeah.
our most wide in terms of topics and discussion. Really brought a lot to the table, so thank you guys for participating in the episode, and appreciate you guys sending in those questions. Well, if you would like to know where you can find this podcast is available on all podcast platforms, whether it's Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Audible. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find this podcast. Simply search Ringside Rundown, hit the follow or subscribe button, whatever the platform asks of you, and you will never miss an episode. We come out with an episode every Wednesday morning. It drops in your inbox wherever you listen to podcasts. So therefore, you won't miss anything. And you can also participate because most of our episodes are question and answer based, where you guys send in the questions and we deliver the answers. So if you would like to send in a wrestling related question for a future episode of the podcast, hit us up on social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Ringside Rundown. Every Monday afternoon, I pop up the tweet on our Twitter account at Ringside Rundown asking for questions for the podcast. So please don't be afraid to send in those questions under the replies to that tweet. It's the pinned tweet on our Twitter account at Ringside Rundown, where you could participate and send us in questions for us to answer. Like I said, it's available on all podcast platforms and also available on our YouTube channel. If you go to our YouTube channel at Ringside Run Pod, you can find all of the episodes to the Ringside Rundown podcast plus short form content. We recently just surpassed 2,300 subscribers on YouTube. How crazy is that?
That is insane. Like it's just wild. I mean,
Yeah.
you're putting in the work though, so I'm not surprised.
Well, I think we both are. I think we both been putting in a lot of work over the years with the podcast. So I'm definitely excited to see all of our content growing out there. Like I said, it's on YouTube, youtube.com/ at Ringside Run Pod. And also, we do live streams every Monday for Monday Night Raw, Wednesday for AEW Dynamite, Friday for SmackDown, and Saturday for AEW Collision or WWE PLEs. Please check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/ringside rundown. Again, that's twitch.tv/ringside rundown, where we also do multi-streaming on that same YouTube channel, youtube.com/at ringside run pod every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless it's a WWE PLE. So, Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on my wrestling Twitter at Shay Ringside _. And just like we always say, it's just like Eric's, except I copy the homework a little bit.
There you go. And I let her do it. We've been doing this for so long, might as well, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta give me a pass every once in a while, I suppose.
Yeah, there you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our next episode, we'll get back to our original format, answering your questions about what is going on in the world of professional wrestling. So if you're a wrestling fan and you know other wrestling fans, please share this episode with them. Let them know about the Ringside Rundown podcast. And if you have a wrestling related question, don't be afraid to hit us up on social media at Ringside Rundown and send in your question for the podcast, and we will answer it on the next episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. So, for Shay Hickson, my name is Erik Vasquez, and we are getting out of here. See you later, guys.
See you later, guys.